other names that we may all follow. He's the editor and publisher, providing in-depth analysis of many issues in which he researches and provides information to all of us from which we can then critically think and independently come to our own conclusions. And I really appreciate that fact. If you want to have a well-crafted debate with someone, you want to have it with Joe, because he'll make you better for it. So I'd like to introduce Joe Herring to our microphone today.
And I hope I live up to the hype. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening to us say things that you already know. You understand what the Second Amendment's about. What I want you to know from me is it's our responsibility to make sure that everyone else understands how to look at it. I've long said there's only two kinds of people in this world. There are those who just want to be left alone. And there are those who, for the life of them, cannot keep their hands to themselves. Those of us who want to be left alone are out here. Unfortunately, that place tends to be a congregating place for the second variety. It's also our job to try and keep that mindset out of there and anywhere else but crafting our laws. The Second Amendment, in fact, all law is designed on that foundation. How to keep the people who can't keep their hands to themselves to keep their hands to themselves. It's not hard. It really isn't. And the fact that there are people who exist, that always have been and always will be, who have no problem with using whatever means they can, whether it be force, whether it be law, whether it be corruption, as we see in D.C. now. They will do whatever they have to do to get whatever it is they want. And we are then the prey. As Chris described, we're the consumers of the sausage that gets made in places like this. But the sausage is poison because there's no health department making sure it's made correctly. That's why we vote for people like Senator Epke. It's why we vote for people who will put us first, themselves second, and the growth of the state a distant 285th or whatever. When you think about the Second Amendment, remember that you don't need to defend yourself from someone who already agrees with you. You need to defend yourself from those who see things differently. Now, you can see things differently and still get along. Okay? I'm well into my 5th decade, and I recall getting along with lots of people who saw things diametrically opposed to the way I do, and in case you don't follow my work, I'm kind of opinionated. In fact, well, I suppose this is as good a place as any to get this out there. I too believe I was sexually harassed. And I think it was by Michael Moore, because I attended one of his screenings, and I tried to ask him a question. He told me to F off. Does that qualify? I hope so, because I want to get on that rich bandwagon too. The reason I bring up that point is, you notice it's always the same cycle. Do something bad, talk about it, and then hope it goes away. Nowhere in there, nowhere in any of this has there been true responsibility, either for the perpetrators or those who enabled them. How many here believe that Hillary Clinton really had no idea there were emails on that private server that probably shouldn't have been? Oh, all of you. Hillary supporters. They use the laws against us that were designed to protect us. And we let them get away with it. If we continue to let them get away with it, the Second Amendment will be the only remaining Amendment before we watch the nation as founded disappear. Now, I know, being a hunter, being a shooter, being a veteran myself, I know the last thing anyone ever wants to do is point a weapon at another human being and fire it. Those who have done it can tell you it changes your life. And it is to be avoided at all costs, except your own life or the life of those you love. Why do you conceal carry? Because you're afraid of the guy over there who might say something mean? Because you're afraid someone might disagree with you and by golly you have to be able to put them down? No, you do it because there are people out there who have no compunction about putting you down to get what they want. The only difference between the street thug and the high echelon political power is the street thug steals his guns and the political power forces us to buy them for him. You can't let government tell you how you're supposed to look at life, because the government cannot bring anything to the table that it doesn't first take from us, and that includes freedom. The Constitution doesn't grant you anything, it merely recognizes that we already have it, the Second Amendment included. The right to defend yourself, to defend your family, to defend your beliefs and nation reside within you. It was there when you popped out. Even if you're a test tube baby, I think you get it. Believe it. And explain to people who don't understand the difference between a gun nut and somebody who believes in the nation was founded, because that's the difference. I enjoy shooting firearms. Good at it. I've had experiences involving them I wish I hadn't. But I also know that people like me with a weapon is a world of difference from people like them with a weapon. And the answer to the conflict that comes in between is not the removal of the weapon, it's the changing of the heart. And no law will do that. But letting other people know and understand why you believe as you do can go a long way. That's what I try and do with my writing, that's what I do when I speak, and that's what I do when I try and advise elected officials and candidates as to how they should approach an issue. Because it really comes down to getting other people to keep their damn hands to themselves. So I'll close with that, and thank you all for coming out here. This is a nice turnout and a nice day, and hopefully we'll fix that this next session.